Guys, it finally happened. Riot Games has dropped a massive announcement about the future of Valorant, and 2021 is looking crazy. But while they've set themselves up for success when it comes to esports infrastructure, you gotta wonder, is the game itself really ready for all this? Okay, before we get into the video proper, I need to direct your attention to that rectangular red box right below me. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We're on the road to 2 million subs. Last year, we hit 1. Next year, I want to hit 2. Let's make it happen. All right, guys, it's official. Valorant is a real esport now.
Unreal.
Okay, so this past Tuesday, Riot Games dropped a huge announcement for what they're calling the Valorant Champions Tour 2021. It details an entire competitive calendar for next year, structured around 3 levels of competition. First up, there's challenger level events. They're basically regional local qualifiers, you know, hometown hero kind of shit. Then there's masters level events, which you can think of as a kind of regional major. They take place 3 times a year, and hopefully they won't be regional for long. And then there's championship level events, or I should say event, because there's only one. It happens at the end of the year, and it's essentially the Valorant World Championship.
Champions will be the apex of the season, a 2-week-long tournament with the top 16 teams from around the world in attendance, and where one team will be crowned the first Valorant World Champion.
Challenger level events qualify you for Masters level events. Masters level events earn you points to get into the championship event at the end of the year. It's all very linear, common sense stuff that facilitates storylines. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Having Dota's TI in the summer is cool, and having 2 different CSGO majors anchor the 2 halves of the year is a unique system I wouldn't want to change. And the League of Legends Spring Split is, okay, it's totally useless. Point is, Riot Games is very good at coloring in the lines. They're very good at organizing highly structured, linear esports competition. And that's exactly what Valorant needs to help it graduate to that tier 1 level esport. And guys, I said help it graduate. I didn't say it was there yet. Calm down. I mean, honestly guys, it's been hard to invest that much emotional energy in Valorant when all we've had to watch are these regionalized competitions for fairly modest prize money that don't really amount to much. And that's clearly what the Valorant Champions Tour 2021 is meant to address. Now we have an entire year of highly structured, linear, meaningful, competitive events that we can follow right up until the end of the year and that apex level championship event. This kind of competitive environment is also very important when it comes to attracting top flight esports orgs, esports players, and brands. If Valorant is going to grow and thrive, they need to build a competitive infrastructure that means pros can make bank and orgs can win championships. Because listen guys, if Valorant really takes off in the next couple of years...
Okay, you have to stop. I can't listen to this anymore.
I'm sorry, is that Dimitri's voice I'm hearing?
Yeah, bud, it's me. Look, are you really gonna talk about all these bells and whistles and just completely ignore the elephant in the room, which is just that this game kinda sucks?
Okay. Dimitri, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let you say your piece, but this is still my video, so I'll be back.
Look, everything about Riot's announcement seems great. As long as third-party tournaments are permitted to run on the side and the scene is allowed to grow organically, I have 0 issues with their roadmap. The problem is that none of this changes the fact that, in my opinion, and this is just that, my opinion, Valorant continues to just not be a very good game. Now, I know what you're gonna say. It's still early. There's plenty of time for Riot to turn their cheap Counter-Strike clone into a polished premier product. And you're right. The problem is that in order to do that, they'd need to implement some very substantial changes. And historically, Riot hasn't proven to be the kind of developer who's into doing that. So what changes am I talking about? Well, make fun of me all you want for saying that Valorant has to be like CSGO, but please, for the love of God, give me some semblance of a spray pattern. The rifling in Valorant is so random that it feels borderline skillless. Stop fixating on whether the Vandal is better than the Phantom. The truth is, they both suck. The thing is, they have to suck. Why? Well, because of the game's next glaring annoyance. Movement. Since the strafing in Valorant is slower and less dynamic than in CS, the rifles can't be as crisp, controllable, and, well, usable, because then it would just be super easy to spray everyone into oblivion. Although, as Tens was apt to demonstrate, you already can, apparently?
I'm not kidding. Running spray is actually good. Look at this. I can literally full run with the Phantom, and it's pretty accurate.
Speaking of gunplay, let's talk about the op. Aside from the general lack of utility, and the sheer existence of Jet, the thing that makes the Valorant op feel so OP is the fact that everything else is just so weak. Not only do the targets move at a literally glacial pace and can't do things like jiggle peek, but their rifles aren't as precise and abusable as the M4 and AK. Then of course, there's the maps. There are 5 maps in this game, and 2 of them just nobody wants to play. Have fun in a best of 5 final, I guess. Okay, so Split has definitely gotten better since the beta, but Icebox? Dude. Hiko said that he would literally rather play Mirage than Icebox. Now, look, I wouldn't go that far. Mirage is literally the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but Icebox, it is in need of some serious work if it is ever going to be competitively viable. And unfortunately, when you take all of this and you throw it together, it makes for a pretty uneventful viewing experience. Now, I know not everyone feels this way, and that's totally cool, but I have tried to watch Valorant Esports several times, and I just can't. It's so boring. Everyone's just tiptoeing around, casting overpowered ults, trying not to walk into this wall of one-dimensional opping. And look, I want to be very clear. I am not rooting for Valorant to fail. On the contrary, I just think that these criticisms need to be addressed before we start treating it like some sort of tier 1 CSGO killer. Suffice it to say, if there was a Valorant major tomorrow, I wouldn't watch it. Never mind 6 months from now. The game isn't fun to play. It's boring as hell to watch, and if Riot were to implement the kinds of changes that would fix all of that, you'd be left wondering, why not just play CS?
Okay, there was some intense opinions in that, but you make a good point or two. The limited map pool is really not ideal for the kind of epic best of 5 grand final championships that we're hoping to see from Valorant in 2021. Yes, the game needs a little work, but I think Riot needed to strike when the iron was hot. This game's entire DNA screams esports, and we knew from the start that Riot wanted Valorant to be the next big thing in FPS competition. So from Riot's perspective, I think if they sat on Valorant and we got another year of fairly meaningless regional competition, the whole scene would be in danger of stagnating. There'd be less interest from top-tier esports orgs. There'd be a less viable career path for the best esports players, and let's be honest for a second here, there'd be less product for Riot to sell to brands. And at the end of the day, that's what matters to them. I kind of think we need to consider the Valorant Champions Tour 2021 as the beta version of Valorant Esports. They can tune and fiddle with the game along the way, and maybe in a few years we will have competition on the level of League of Legends Worlds or CSGO Majors. I also want to just jump back to the original announcement Riot put out and say maybe the one less than satisfactory thing was the fact that Masters level competition is going to be regionalized, and unfortunately that's down to COVID.
While COVID-19 continues to impact international travel, Masters events will unfortunately remain limited to regional competition similar to First Strike. Trust us, no one is more eager to unlock international competition, and we're going to continue to monitor the situation closely for when we can safely pivot Masters events back to international lands.
The other major thing absent in the announcement were prize money and tournament organizing details. Now, we know that challenger level events will at least in part be organized by third parties, and it's a safe bet that the championship event is going to be wholly operated by Riot. But what about the Masters level events? And on the prize money front, when it comes to the prestige and the hype of an esports event, cash is king. All of these are details that will no doubt be made public in the coming months, but for now, it's a very promising announcement. And honestly, I think if you're just a fan of esports and you've been missing that high-level, true competition in 2020, you gotta be happy that Riot is going aggressive on Valorant Esports in 2021.
What is your goal for Valorant ranked, Colin?
That's a good question. So the last time I played ranked in Valorant, I was in gold. So probably platinum is my goal. And I honestly think I could get there. It's a lot easier to play Valorant than it is CSGO.
I think you honestly can. This is not a knock. Anyone will tell you this. The thing about Valorant is that everything plat and lower is trash. In my opinion, anyone who plays Valorant who's below diamond is a league player, just by default. Like, you see it in the way they play, you see it in the way they think, the way they talk. There's just something about that truly low IQ, brain dead, like, constitution that it takes to be a League of Legends player. That's what you see. It just transparently scattered throughout Valorant, and it's one of the reasons I stopped playing the game. It's terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, it happened. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you haven't subscribed to theScore Esports yet, do it. Do it. Do it.